students, welcome back to the Google Classroom of Class 7 History Chapter 3 Delhi Sultans. How are you children? Are you fine there at home? Okay, I hope all of you have studied the previous topics of this chapter very well and you all performed very well in your test paper. Can I ask some questions to check your previous knowledge? Okay, in the last class we have already learned about garrison town, hinterland, masjid, etc. What do you mean by hinterland? The land adjacent to a city or a port which supplies goods and services is known as hinterland. Then what do you mean by garrison town? A fortified settlement by the soldiers is known as garrison town. And what is called a masjid? The mosque is called a masjid in Arabic. Today we would focus on a different topic like the administration and consolidation of Delhi under Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad Tughlaq. Our next topic is administration and consolidation under the Khaljis and Tughluqs. The Khalji Dynasty. Jallaluddin Khilji established Khalji Dynasty. Who established Khalji Dynasty? Jallaluddin Khilji. The founder of the Turkish dynasty, Jallaluddin Khilji, was 70 when he ascended the throne. He defeated the descendants of Balban, being victorious, came to power. He was kind-hearted, mild and trusting in nature. The most important event during the reign of Jallaluddin was the attack of Yadava city of Devanagari. Next one is Alauddin Khilji, the new emperor of Delhi. Alauddin Khilji murdered his uncle Jallaluddin Firoz to gain the throne. It was his ambition to establish a vast empire. So, he introduced more controversial policies. All religious lands were confiscated and marriages between noble families were sanctioned by the king. The emperor also introduced market and price control of food grains, cloth, and other essentials. The land revenue was raised and made more efficient. Thus, the emperor enforced a highly centralized system of government. So, this Alauddin Khilji enforced a highly centralized system of government. So, children, this is the picture of Alauddin Khilji. Next one is the Tughlaq dynasty. Ghassi Malik ascended the throne as Sultan Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq Shah and founded the third dynasty of the Sultanate. The Tughlaqs belonged to the Korona Turk tribe. So children, controlling garrison towns of Bengal and Sindh were difficult from Delhi. The state were threatened with Mongol invasions. Governors rebelled at the weakness of the sultans, and its expansion happened during the period of Ghiyasuddin Balban, Alauddin Khilji and Muhammad Tughlaq. The consolidation of a kingdom as vast as the Delhi Sultanate needed reliable governors and administrators. Rather than appointing the aristocrats and landed chieftains as governors, Iltutmish appointed special slaves purchased for military service called Bandhagan, as they would totally depend upon their masters. They were carefully trained to man some of the most important political offices in the kingdom. Since they were totally dependent upon their master, the Sultan could trust and rely upon them. This trend was followed by Khaljis and Tughluqs. So the Khaljis and Tughluqs continued to use the Bandhagan and also raised people of humble birth who were often their clients. Clients means someone who is under the protection of another, a dependent or hanger. Lands where the military commanders governed as governor are called Ikta, and the holder was called Iktadar or Mukti. The duty of the Muktis was to lead military campaigns and maintain law and order in their Muktas. In exchange for their military service, The Muktis collected the revenues of their assignments as salary. They also paid their soldiers from these revenues. Control over Muktis was the most effective if their office was not inheritable and if they were assigned Iqtas for a short period of time before being shifted. During Khilji time, there were three types of taxes. Which are they? First one on cultivation called Karaj. That means 50% of the peasant produce. Then second one on cattle. Then third one on houses. So there were three types of taxes. First one on cultivation called Karaj and amounting to about 50% of the peasants' produce. Then second one on the basis of cattle and then on houses. Children, look at this picture. This is Chinkish Gun. The Mongols under Chinkish Gun invaded Transoxiana in northeast Iran in 1219 and the Delhi Sultanate faced their onslaught soon after. Mongol attacks on the Delhi Sultanate increased during the reign of Alauddin Khilji and in the early years of Muhammad Tughlaq's rule. This forced the two rulers to mobilize a large standing army in Delhi, which posed a huge administrative challenge. So children, it's time to wind up our session. Can I ask some questions? In whose reign did Delhi Sultanate reach its farthest extent? Muhammad Tughlaq's. Then which kind of taxes were there during the time of Delhi Sultanate? There were three kinds of taxes. Which are they? The Kharaj, taxes on cattle and taxes on houses. Then what do you mean by Kharaj? It was the tax on cultivation. It was about 50% of the total produce of the peasants. So children, please note that the corresponding URL, notes of the lesson and test paper are also attached along with this video. Make use of all these available resources, study well and attend the test paper without fail. Thank you.